thing is, where's Hannah? Where's Hannah? Hannah, come here. Come on up front. Hey, now listen. You guys know that I like to get people outside their comfort zone and get up front and volunteer. Y'all know that, right? But when I do that, what typically comes with that? Money, right? You don't have to do anything. I just want to share with everybody here. I came in scrambling to give you guys a note page. A note page that probably means nothing to you guys at this present moment. But hopefully as we go through, you may put something, a thing or two on there that may mean something to you later on. And Hannah stood and gave everybody that walked through a note page for me. And the interesting thing was, I was standing there with 4 or 5 stacks in my hand, and 3 or 4 girls came up, and there was a couple said, no, I don't want a part of it, just say, I'll help you out. I just want to illustrate and tell you, again, the basis of life, of any kind of success, always starts in the serving. Serving. That's why Jesus was a foot washer. Jesus could have been a king. Jesus could have done anything he wanted. He could have took over Rome. But he was a servant. He served. For us, living in the times we live, doing what we do, we can't see that. We don't understand that because it's all about me. And I fall into the same trap. But to you, I want to tell you thank you, and I want to give you 20 bucks. She did not know that. But, okay, real quick, we've got 6 through 12. When y'all are done, I'll go. We got 6th through 12th graders in here. So you got age differences. And my goal is to speak right where you're sitting. I want to speak to you personally. I want everybody in the room to know that I'm trying to get to you as you're sitting next to your buddy, your friend, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. Okay, I want you to know that you count and you matter to me. So I want everybody to realize that what I'm going to bring to you, what we're going to talk about today, is big boy and big girl stuff. Okay, it's not little kid stuff. It's real stuff. This stuff that I would share with my staff in my dealership. Okay, so I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So if you see something, 6th graders that make you giggle, don't giggle. Okay, this is big boy and big girl stuff. Okay, I want everyone to try to connect with what I want to bring to you guys, and let you know just like. You know, we were saying earlier, I can talk to you guys about success on how to make money. I actually love it. I can talk to you some of the football team, basketball. Man, they're better than sports. I can get in there and mix it up with anybody because that's in my DNA. That's what I love. But at the end of the day, success without having Christ in your life means nothing. And I'll prove it to you before we're done today, because you're going to see some examples. Without that, eventually it will crumble. We're going to talk about today the subject of pain. The subject of pain. Give you a few stats. Okay? Relational pain. All the pain people in life experience. Some of your pain right now is not that great, but when you get married, you're going to have some. When you get a job, you're going to have some. When you're in college, you're going to have some. Okay? 35% of your pain is going to come relational. 16% of your pain is going to come from finances. 10% of your pain is going to come from being lonely. And the Bible speaks all the time that it's not good to be by yourself. Another thing I want to share with you, do y'all read this every once in a while without being forced? It's a very good practice to get into. Every answer you want to know in life is going to come right in here. This is God's promises to you if you believe in God. It's all in here. Okay? Being lonely is one of them, and he says it's not good to be lonely. 10% of pain is from depression. 8% is from addiction. Now, let's keep it 100. I'll be straight up. Straight up. I like a cigar every once in a while. As a grown man, that's what I like. Every once in a while. Okay? But 1 cigar a week became 2 cigars a week. Then 3 cigars a week. Now I got a problem. Now I'm a grown man, love Jesus with all my heart, and I'm one that'll sit here and say, I don't got no addictions. Not true. Not true. Something's going on. That's how fast it'll creep on you. And the reason why it's so important to you, why you need to have Christ in your life is this rule. There's a devil in John 10:10. It says he comes to kill, steal, and destroy. He's coming after you. He wants to kill you. Period. But he doesn't kill you all at one time. He just takes pieces of you at a time. He'll take a piece of your friendship, a betrayal with your best friend for 5 years. He'll take a piece with your mom. You can't get along with your dad. He'll take another piece with something going on at your job. You just got fired for no reason. All of this stuff, all he's trying to do is attack you. And if you're not prepared to handle that, it's going to eat you alive. That's why you see famous people got all the money. They got everything they want in life. Everything that you and I would think is what we want. You're in school to do what? Go to college to do what? Get a great job, make some money, have a good family. Nothing wrong with that, right? We see the dollars people are making, and then all of a sudden they kill themselves. How does that happen? It's the pain. So we're going to talk about the pain. The other thing I want to share with you, really important, and again, feel free at any time to take notes. That's why I gave you the page. I want you to, there may be one, two, or three things you may think about. I want to talk about time. I don't want to waste your time. Listen, I run a car dealership. I've got a wife and kids, a lot of responsibilities, man, but you guys are my heart, my passion. Whether it's you, Putnam County High School, Baldwin High School, Miami, Florida, it doesn't matter. Kids are my passion because they say the kids are our future. But that's a lie. The kids are our right now. Because what you do now will create your future. If we wait to the future, we're already in trouble. All right? So to me, it's a passion of mine to help as much as I can. I take the time, and I don't want to waste your time. In fact, I've lived 14,304 days as of today. You know, most people look at time as I'm 39 years old. They don't look at it as 14,304 days. But the perspective is when you love Jesus and you start to see things differently. Jesus has let me live 14,304 days of my life. Every day can be a gift to do something. Every day I get another day. It changes your whole mindset. But I don't want to waste your time. I think time is important to you. This message was designed for you. We're going to watch this quick video. Well, I'm not even going to set it up. We'll watch this video. It'll start off kind of funky, but it'll get right to the meat of what we're talking about, and then we'll get into it.
My name's Jimmy Dieski. In 1990, I started wrestling professionally. There's a lot of pain that goes along with it. Cracked my left foot. I tore my right quad. I've got a chip in my left rotator. It's not fake, you know, choreographed. Yeah. Physical pain, mental pain, you know, being away from your family. You know, oh, there's my husband, he's on TV. I don't ever get a chance to see him, but there he is on TV.
The luminous warrior.
Welcome.
Good morning.
After I retired from wrestling, we had our son, my son Luke. I went into business with a friend of mine in the fitness industry. Business was great. Personal life, my family life wasn't so great. And I buried myself in my work. You know, I didn't spend much time with my son. You know, for sure I didn't spend any time with my wife. You know, that's what I did, was I worked. Just kind of overnight, it's all gone. I lost my business, and I just kind of checked out mentally, physically, emotionally. Came home one day, and she told me that she was leaving. And that hurt. I felt betrayed, I felt abandoned, I felt, I felt alone. Divorce is hard, especially with children. They don't get a say, you know, they don't get a vote. They're just along for the ride. You know, within a 6 to 9 month span, you know, I lost my business, I lost my house, I lost my brother, I lost my mom, I lost my wife, I lost my son, lost my dog. I didn't know how to process it. I got around some people, just doing stuff that I shouldn't have been doing. You know, I just had this moment of just, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's when I made the decision that I needed to stop trying to do things my way. The next morning, I was sitting front row left at Fellowship Church, crying. I was crying because I lost everything. But that's when I made the decision that my way's not working. It wasn't until I started believing plus following Jesus that my life turned around. My time with Luke became precious to me, you know, after the divorce, because it was regimented now. But Sunday mornings, he was with me at Fellowship Church. And Father-Son retreat every year. And he's served along with me. Fellowship Church it's become my family. Met Carlotta through serving at the church. Got married May 28th of 2011. We now became a blended family. You know, I had my son from my first marriage, and she had Grayson. Just this past September, we had a little miracle baby boy, Joshua. You know, I literally had to lose it all to come to that, you know, hey, I need to put Jesus just the core of who I am as a man, as a father, as a husband. Pain can make you bitter, or it can make you better. Pain is something that we're all going to go through. It's inevitable, but through Jesus and his church, you don't have to go it alone.
So when you look at something like that, that's a grown man tearing up from the pain. And there's a lot of pain. I just wrote a few things down, talking about a little bit of my pain, be a little transparent with you, so you understand that what I've gone through, you get ready to go through it. You don't know you're going to be ready to go through it, but it's coming. But the difference is you have the choice. You can choose to put some things in place to have that pain management. Because that's what we're talking about, is managing the pain. How do we get better from the pain? And ultimately, can we be grateful for the pain? You know, when you look at that, some of you in the room, when you saw that video, I don't know for a fact, I would speculate that you would say, man, my dad, work. You don't even know me. I don't even know my dad. We don't even hang out. We don't even talk. I'm not killing anybody's parents. I just know life. When you get through life, I know what happens when Jesus is not the center of your life. I know what happens. When he mentioned he's doing things his way, he figured out it wouldn't work. Let me explain that to you real quick. When you do it your way, it will work for a moment. It may work for a couple of moments, but eventually, it's not going to be sustained. That's the fact. Tell you about my pain. Most of you guys know there's been a blend of kids in here, so I don't know. The very first time I spoke to you guys, I kind of gave a testimony, but not to labor on that too long. Look at the type of pain I was just thinking about in my own life. Pain and experience I've had. All right? The pain that I felt like as I was coming up to the car dealership, thinking I was good enough to do what I needed to, but they kept saying, you're only 20 years old, man. You're only 22 years old. You're too inexperienced. You're a baby. You're a kid. Y'all ever heard that? Just a kid. You don't know anything. Pain. Got me mad. Right? Incompetence. Get an opportunity that I needed to have. Right? I can tie incompetence to marriage. You know, when you get married, you don't have a clue. The men in the room, I'm going to tell you something. The men in the room, I pray for you guys the most because you guys are the spiritual leaders. You guys are the ones that's got to get this down pat. It's your responsibility, period. End of discussion. And if you don't get a hold of this disappointment that you run into, okay, it will totally tear you down. You got to control the pain management. Pain of bad health. I remember, I'm not in great shape. At least I think I'm in decent shape. But I remember when I went to the doctor one visit when they said my cholesterol was like 270 something. Like heart attack style. And I'm like, man, I'm 37. How am I going to have a heart attack at 37 years old? And all of a sudden you get to thinking, I got 2 kids, I got a wife. I'm thinking, man, you work. You want to achieve, you want to do this, you want to do that. For what? I'm getting ready to meet Jesus if I ain't careful. Right? So I'm like, you got that pain. Right? You have pain of relationship, pressure you have, right? You guys experience that more than anything, the pain of getting made fun of. Some people in the room right here make fun of people. You know? Dog them out. Laugh at them. The recipient of that feels the pain. How do you deal with that pain? You know? Somebody, you know, your girlfriend betrayed you, lied, said something that wasn't true, post something on Facebook. We're going to go through this. It's important. The point is you got to know how to handle it. All right? So that's what I want to get to. But here's the good thing. The good thing about it is simply this. And I think I said this in middle school when I talked before. If I said, what's 3 times 3, what y'all going to say? It's 9. If I ask you 5 times 5, what's 5 times 5? Everybody has it, right? But if I say, what's 12,250 times 1,210,000, what is it?
A number.
It's a number. But if I give you a sheet of paper, give you the same number with a pen and a paper, and say, give me the number, could you figure it out?
Yeah.
Right, so you have the formula. So what we want to talk about, we want to talk about the formula. That's what we're after right now, the formula how to manage his pain. Alright. So again, you got to go to what God says, okay, and what the Bible says. And here's what's crazy about pain. This is the craziest thing, and it's hard to understand. But what God says about pain in James, he says, listen, when you get pain, count it a gift. Count it joy. Alright, but when you're going through these troubles or these tests, they come at you at all sides, and all the pressure that you're under, your faith life is forced to open up, show its true colors. Don't try to get out of it too prematurely. Hang in there. Endure it. It'll make you stronger, and it'll develop you where you're deficient. So obviously, if those are God's words, when we talk about pain management, we think in our mind pain is bad. But here's what you got to get through your mind. Pain is good. Let me say that again. We think pain is bad, but pain is good. God tells you. He tells you it's good. See, those that are with me, that understand where I'm talking spiritually, you get it. Others are going, the man's crazy. But if you know who God is, pain is good. The key is we want to make sure pain is not for nothing. Who wants to tell me I'm going to want to win sprints, go through all this hard work on a football field, on a basketball court, in track, and not have a shot for a title? I can't go for a title? I don't want that pain. Right? But there's a purpose in your pain. When I was growing up, my mom remarried my dad, who is my dad, but he's my stepfather. My real father left when I was 3 years old. Okay, so I met this new man, and I'm living in Miami, Florida, and he was country, and he was tough. And when I mean tough, what I'm really saying is he only did what he knew to do. In other words, I was the oldest. If something happened, I got slapped around. Plain and simple. Even when I really shouldn't have been slapped around, or even shouldn't have been handled that way, that's how it went down. In addition to that, my mom had a drinking problem. I'm talking, I remember going down the road, getting dropped off at elementary school with Crown Royal in the cup, and I can still hear in my mind the ice rattling as we're driving in the vet. I remember it like it was yesterday. Listening to Madonna. Date myself. In addition to that, my mom also dabbled in some drugs that eventually got her put in the halfway house. In addition to that, at 18 years old, I realized since I was the only safe one in the house, it wasn't where I needed to be, so I left. I've never went back home ever again in my life to reside. Now think about this for a minute. Those are 17, 18 years old. How do you go from 18 years old and you go from Miami, Florida to Lynchburg, Virginia, don't know a soul, you're there for a year, you transfer to Carrollton, Georgia to pursue a football dream, don't know a soul, don't have any income, don't know how I'm going to get income, only have partial scholarship, okay? Come to a point of dropping out of college, loading trucks in Billerica, Georgia. Everywhere I turned was an opportunity of pain. Everywhere I turned. Didn't go to the school I wanted to because I got a 680 on SAT. I wasn't too bright. Wasn't too bright. Couldn't even pass the SAT to be eligible to get a full scholarship, to be able to be signed. Then I go to school thinking I'm going to play football Division I. I go to 1AA, didn't make it there. Go to Division II, played there, but it's Division II nonetheless. Then I drop out after football's done because all I was worried about was the girls and playing football. That was it. Dropped out of school. Now I find myself in Billerica, Georgia, in the middle of nowhere in the country near Alabama, and I'm working Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in a graveyard shift loading trucks. 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. I'd sleep all day. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. While all my friends were out doing what they were doing, I had to do what I had to do to make money. Pain. And then all of a sudden, you fast forward to where I'm at now, and there's a whole bunch that goes into that as well. Now I'm in a car dealership. Do you think that was because of me? Because if you do, you're wrong. Okay? The Lord opened those doors because the Lord will give favor to those that are seeking Him. Okay, we're going to talk about that. But it's very, very important just to share some of that. You may see certain people, okay, and know people that have pain in their life, and you think they don't have pain, rather, that everything's going well. You see them in a certain way, you don't even know what their life is. You see the glory, but you don't know the story. You know, you see their own businesses and so on and so forth. Some of you sitting in this room right now, you know what I'm talking about because you hear mom and dad fight. And I'll tell you this, and I would tell your parents, not to dog anybody's parents, because I tell my wife the same thing. If Christ ain't the center of what we're doing, we're going to fight. Because what you don't realize is, is the devil, because there is Satan. He's coming to kill you, your eventual wife. He wants to steal your kids, and he wants to do it at all means necessary. That's his goal. That's why we have turmoil. So the pain management is something we got to get through. So the starting point is there, but here's really where it starts. And I won't freak y'all out and sound all Baptist on you, but look, there's some people in the room that know Christ, and there's some others that don't. So here's the deal. You got to start off at being born again. Y'all heard that term before? We know when I first heard that when I was in chapel, I thought to myself, what in the world does born again mean? Like I would think to myself, explain to me how you can be born again. And I'm born, right? That was my thought process, but it's real simple. It's real simple. At the end of the day, you want to be born twice and die once instead of being born once and dying twice. You got a physical birth. Mama. I'm not going to say what mom says. I'm not going to say that. You have a physical birth. Anyway, you have a physical birth. That's the day you're born. That's who you are. Then you have a spiritual birth when you make the decision to accept Christ as your personal Savior. That's your choice. It's nobody else's choice. Louis can't pressure you. Nobody can convince you. Mom and dad can tell you. It's your choice. And typically, you hear all the stories when people meet God on the way down. Then they get to meet Him, get to know Him a little bit when they're coming back up. But when you're at the bottom and realize God's the rock at the bottom, then you can start making some change. But if you don't start here, and again, when we're done, if anybody in the room has no idea what I'm talking about or doesn't know how to accept Christ, I'd be more than happy to do that with you. But I'll tell you, that's the starting point. If you don't have that, everything else we talk about ain't there. So real quick, we're going to talk about how to turn 5 ways to turn pain into gain. Okay? And again, what I want to share with you, that's why I gave you the notes. So if you're interested in not being in a situation when you're in college crying because you're lonely, or you're interested in not getting hooked and being addicted to something, or if you're interested in thinking that you can have premarital sex and maybe do some protection and not get away with it, and all of a sudden, what did I do? And you're interested in not having that mistake, and you're interested in dealing with some of the pain that's going to come your way when you get married to the guy you love, right? First 2 years, everything's cool. Then all of a sudden you're fighting, right? You see mom and dad do that. Like they can't stand each other. It's the craziest thing in the world. If you're interested in fixing some of those things, this is what we're going to talk about. We've got 5 quick things, okay? So the very first thing I want to tell you is you've got to surrender the situation to Christ. Whenever you're in a painful situation, when I was 18 years old, I'm driving up the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I'm driving, and I say, God, is this what you wanted for my life? I got a mama that drinks. I got a daddy that's physical. I'm out here in Virginia. I don't know anybody. And I start crying. Man, God, is this what you want? Is this what you want for me? Here I am, doing my best as a 16, 17-year-old kid, looking like a freak, reading the Bible at school. Everybody else wondering what I'm doing. I'm believing in what I'm hearing. You know, I think I believe in what God wants me to do in my life, and I'm doing what you're asking, and this is what you do. And then it hit me, Romans 8:28. All things work together for good. Not some, not part. If you're a believer in Christ, if you know who Jesus is, everything, all things will eventually work together for good to those that are called according to His purpose. I'm driving up, and I had peace. You have to surrender. I had to tell God, okay, God, here's the deal. I'm by myself. It's just me and you. You say you're the God that moves mountains? Show me. You say you're the God that can do all these things? You raise the dead, you make blind men see? Show me. Because I got nothing. I got a car, and I ain't got a relationship with my mom and dad. And so I went through a period of 6 or 7 years where I didn't even talk to my parents. Christmases and Thanksgivings in my apartment by myself. You know? Sitting there wondering, man, 19 years old, 20 years old. Things that I think about now that I have kids or I see you guys, I'm like, man, it blew my mind. But I got through it. I got through that pain because I knew that I had surrendered it to God. I said, God, you got this, because you know what? I can't handle it. So the first thing you got to do when you run into a situation, bad things will happen, right? It says when troubles come your way. Remember the first verse? The operative word, when. That's not if. That's not maybe. When. When they come your way, because they're going to come, okay, count it all joy. All right, so if something happens bad, that we talked about, that could happen in your life as you're coming up, okay, that's done over with. The next thing you got to do is surrender. You got to trust God with it. The main thing is have the understanding. You can't give something to God unless you fully trust God. You can't give it to Him to handle unless you trust Him. You have to trust Him unconditionally, which means you have to develop a relationship with God. All right? And you don't develop a relationship with God if you don't pray to Him, talk to Him. Think about your boyfriend or girlfriend in a room. What kind of a relationship would you have if you talked to him or her 3 minutes a day? Right before you went to bed. Hung up the phone, that was it. What kind of relationship would that be? It'd be too good. But a lot of Christians, and I've done it, that's what we do. That's our relationship with God. I give him 3-4 minutes before I go to bed. Every other month. That's not developing a relationship. You can't get here, folks. I'm sharing with you experience that I've had that I'm telling you, if you can get it earlier than I got it, it's going to help you. You can't surrender unless you have a relationship. And only you can develop that relationship. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares God." You count. You matter. I don't care what anybody says about you. You're a masterpiece. That's what I said this morning to the little kids. You've been made perfect in all ways. And God has His plans for you. Regardless of all the times you've messed up, it ain't as bad as you think. Okay? So again, knowing that God, His plans for you is to prosper you, not harm you. Plans to give you hope for the future. If I look at my life, and I've said this before, I believe in uncertain terms. I believe confidently in my field of what I do for a living. I can teach you guys in a class how to make some money. A lot of money. I think I can do that. Okay? But I think everything that I have ever learned has been the basis of trusting God and having understanding, even though when I didn't understand it. Even when I don't get it. Okay? So that's the very first thing. You got to make sure. So you got to surrender it to God. The next thing is real easy. It's just not simple. Real easy, it's just not simple. Because sometimes what you say is what you see. I don't think y'all got that. Sometimes what y'all say is what you see. Here's what I mean by that. We know to be positive, right? Something bad happens. Come on, man. We know to be positive. And you say, yeah, I'm going to be positive, work through it. But what you say is not what you're seeing in your mind. Because what you're saying ain't positive. See? And everything you say, the Bible, again, talks about the power of words and what you say. You know when you have that conversation with yourself when no one else is around? Or as I'm talking to you right now, you're talking to yourself about what I'm saying? That conversation, it goes on all day long. Now, we ridicule people and tell them they're crazy for talking to themselves, but we do it every day, don't we? All day long. Someone walk by, conversation, blah, 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 you leave, you go say, why did you say that? I can't believe you said that. She's not going to talk to her. I mean, you're already in your mind, you're thinking about the next conversation. So the self-conversation creates the vision of what you see. All right, so if you're in a painful spot, at home right now, if you're in a painful spot, you got to stay optimistic and positive. Attitude, expectations, and assumptions. The expectations, that's the cool thing. Check this out. A lot of people get upset when they didn't like the new rule in the NFL that talked about the instant replay. Right? But what you have to understand is there's 3 powerful words that referee talks about when he comes back out after he reviews the film. He says, after further review. See, sometimes you can't see what God's already seen. And He's trying to give you an instant replay and telling you after further review it ain't as bad as you think. Surrender it to me. Stay positive, and we'll keep moving forward. You got to look, that instant replay is going on all the time. But if you try to handle it like yourself, like that guy said he did, you're going to end up in a ditch. You can get out of the ditch, but there's no sense in getting in the ditch. You tracking? There's no sense in going in the ditch if you can avoid it. Okay? So again, having a positive atmosphere is where you want to be. I think this right here, and there's only 2 more. Stay with me, don't lose. I'm telling you. And you know pages with blank. But that's all right. Number 3. Number 3. Okay. All right, check this out. Dig for God's purpose in the pain. Let's go back to the way beginning. If you don't know who God is, there ain't no way you can find purpose in your pain. You're going to be too aggravated and mad, and you think somebody owes you something because you're thinking about yourself, not God. Okay? You got to dig for the purpose in your pain. There's a reason for it. Let me tell you this. Fast forward the clock. Now, I'm a dad. No disrespect to my dad. He only did what he knew. Okay? But I don't raise my son like I was raised. Or my daughter. Period. Not even close. Not even in the stratosphere. Okay? But I can't look at my dad now and be upset about what happened knowing that he's not perfect. Okay? I look for the purpose. If it wasn't for my dad, you're looking at the product of my dad. The one thing my dad did, I didn't see him much because he was working. He was an entrepreneur. He was a hard worker. He was intense. He didn't play around. Somehow, some way, I'm a hard worker. I don't mess around when it comes to work. And I'm an entrepreneur. If it wasn't for my dad, if it wasn't for the drive, if it wasn't for the passion, if it wasn't for him kicking me around, telling me I wasn't going to be worth a crap, wasn't going to do nothing with my life, if it wasn't for him and that drive pushing me, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I really wouldn't. Because God used that. See, God knew that. See, the things you're going through right now, God already knows. He's not sitting in heaven thinking to himself, oh my goodness, I never saw that coming. You know? Abby, I never saw that coming. I'm sorry. I didn't even have that one planned. You know God don't do that, right? He's got it all planned out already. We're the only ones surprised. So again, you got to look for the purpose. You got to look for the purpose in the pain. In these situations, man, you got to pray. You got to pray. But I go to Romans 12:12. This is when Paul's talking, and listen to what Paul says. He says, "And not be conformed to this world." Y'all heard this verse. "But be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may be able to prove that what is good and acceptable in the perfect will of God." Don't be conformed of this world. See, this world has bloggers and haters and people that want to tear people down. They spend more time doing that stuff than they do anything positive or for good. Okay, but you can't conform to that. It's easy to get right in the same camp and do the same thing. God says you're different if you've taken the first step. Okay? Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Dig for the purpose in your pain. Huh? Yeah? 2 minutes, that's it? Alright. Alright, I'm going to play this last video. Okay. Let me just play this last.
My name is Jeff, and this is my lovely wife, Eva.
We started going to fellowship before
My name
Avery.
is Jeff, and this is my lovely wife, Eva.
We started going to fellowship before Avery was even born, so that was 12 years ago.
We have 2 beautiful girls, Avery and Kendall.
I didn't really think I could have children. I actually had cancer when I was younger and did not really think it would be easy if I was going to have children at all, let alone have them.
We had our 2 girls, and we were full on board for a boy for this last one. So we had a beautiful little boy, Jace. Well, we had just gotten back from Florida. We took a family trip to Florida, and we had just driven back in. You know, he was just snuggling with me, and he fell asleep on me. And Eva was like, we need to go put him to bed.
He was so tired, and so then let's just go ahead and put him to bed. And so, but he said he loved everybody and gave everybody a kiss like he did every single night. Before the girls would go to bed, he'd give them a kiss. So he gave everybody their kiss and put him to bed, and that was our typical night. Jeff walked in, I thought, well, let me just walk in with him so we can both say good morning. And we did.
And we'd always walk in, he'd always like pop up.
He'd
always,
get right up.
And he'd get so excited to get out of bed. And he was laying face down, his head was kind of away from us. And I just remember Eva saying, why isn't he moving? And I kind of reached down, I touched him, and it's kind of one of those things where, from that moment, you already knew that, he was already gone, and that there wasn't a, bringing him back or anything, so.
We were just holding on to what was left of our son.
I couldn't help him, I couldn't fix it, I couldn't, you just knew 100% that he was gone and 100% that life would never, ever be the same. Jace loved music. the last thing I wanted to do was watch movies of Jace, you know, because that just made it so hard. And, but I had to, because anytime I closed my eyes, I would just see him when I first found him.
And you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight.
Love you.
I remember just grabbing Jeff's hand and looking up at him and saying, the Lord is only going to make us stronger through this. I have no clue what his plan is or what, you know, where we're going to go from this, but it's not going to be apart. There's a verse in Isaiah, he has redeemed us. He has called us by name, and that when we walk through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. And that's exactly what grief has felt like. It feels like I'm treading water, and that the water is just right here. But they've never drowned me. They've never swept over me, because God is right there and he is carrying us through that. So we lost him on a Tuesday. His service was on a Friday, and we couldn't wait to get to church. I remember just holding on to Jeff. What song comes on but God of the Rescue? And I just remember getting Facebook out and writing, God of the Rescue, I'm running straight into your arms. And then that next phrase, all things are possible with you. All things are possible with you. And I knew, it's just like he was telling me, I'm getting you through this.
My most important job I have on this earth is to raise those two girls to love Jesus and to trust him like we do now.
And at the end of the day, it's knowing that Christ's love for us and how much he loves us, and that we have to completely surrender to him and let him lead the way, and then everything else falls in place.
The one overall feature we've learned is trust.
Pastor Ed defined what trusting God is, and I'd never heard it defined this way, and he said it's lying helplessly at the feet of God. I've never been more helpless in my life, and people have told us, you know, y'all are just so strong, and I've corrected them every time. I've never been weaker in my life, but when we're weakest, that's when he's strongest. And so that's what everybody else sees. It's not us. It's completely what God is doing through us. It's nothing that we've done.
I ran over time, but listen, here's what I'm going to close with this. I don't know a lot of you guys personally. I can't say it in any other way. You guys will experience what these people are talking about, what I've shared with you, what your teachers will tell you. You cannot run from it. And I'm begging you. Begging and pleading, because this is serious stuff. Okay? So if anybody needs any help, and you ever see me around and I can help you in any way, I will do it. Because if you don't know who Christ is, I'm telling you, it's a tough fight. Once you get to know who Christ is, the fight ramps up, because now you're in a battle. That's a whole other conversation. And men, that's why I do my best to stay connected, and I'm so grateful you guys let me communicate with some of the athletic teams. There's so much work to be done. There's so much work to be done. Sometimes it ain't cool. Sometimes you look funny. But everybody in this room that's your Facebook friends today, 15 years from now, we need to go talk to them. I appreciate your time. I hope it meant a little something to you.